So we are at the Web at Quebec. I'm with Jonathan Snook. So would you like to introduce yourself for people that may not know you?
Certainly. I'm Jonathan Snook, as you mentioned. I'm a designer, developer, writer. I've managed to write a couple books, including my most recent one, Scalable and Modular Architecture for CSS.
Awesome. So by the end of the day, you're going to do the closing keynote at the Web at Quebec, and you're going to talk about the fact that CSS has grown up. CSS is growing. What does that mean?
Well, I think that as a language, obviously, it's gotten a lot more diverse. It has a lot of features and new stuff coming in all the time. But as a way of building a site, I think that we're only just now seeing people evolve their way of thinking of how to approach CSS. And this is really going to be looking at how that has evolved and how people are really addressing those needs today.
Good. You talk about your book, the latest book that you wrote. Usually we call it SMAX. So what is SMAX? What is the book all about? Maybe something around best practice, maybe something around like what can we do when we use CSS, when we are building big website or even small website?
Absolutely. Yeah. So obviously you can kind of get a sense that the topic of the book is tying in quite a bit to the talk that I'm doing today, which is really looking at how do we build sites with CSS? How do we think about the stuff that we're writing and why we're writing it, and putting some structure behind that. And as a result of that, giving us a lot more capability to build larger sites, build sites with larger teams, and but at the same time, hopefully the practices that I talk about are still just as relevant to smaller sites.
And I'm a developer. People that's going to watch this video are mostly developers or designers. I like HTML5, I like CSS3, all the new features. There's more and more people that are building websites with these technology, and even today you can start building native application with things like PhoneGap or even Windows 8 application with HTML5. So there's a lot more and more people that are using CSS as one of their main technology. What would be for you maybe the best practice around CSS, the things that developers, integrator, people that are using CSS should really think about when they are writing their application or their website?
I think one of the key things to think about is the separation of concerns. I think that what we have traditionally seen are people that approach CSS as styling a page, but when you think of a page as a series of components and looking at how do we separate those components from each other, that we end up building something that's a lot more flexible. So whether or not that component exists inside a Windows 8 app or within a mobile app or just within a desktop app, being able to reuse these components. And we're seeing frameworks like Bootstrap really take off because there's this library of reusable components. And I think a lot of that stuff is starting to spill off into best practices.
Good. So thanks for your time. I hope you're going to have a great time in Quebec City. And where can we find more information about your books or even yourself on Twitter? Where can we follow you?
Well, certainly you can reach me on Twitter at SnookCA, my website, snook.ca, and of course the book, smacs.com, SMACSS.com.
A really great book. People should buy it and read it.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thanks for your time.
Pleasure.